The show off. The show for people who want to find out who they are, then do it on purpose. And here is your host, Janine Coombs.
Hello and welcome to the show off. Today we have Louise Miller, who is a productivity mentor, founder of Make It Happen Club, and host of the Unfrazzle podcast. She's on a mission to change the world by helping her clients change the world. She partners with visionary solo business owners, helping them make a bigger impact whilst being kind to themselves along the way. And that sounds jolly lovely. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Janine. I'm looking forward to this.
Absolute pleasure. And full disclosure, this is take 2, isn't it?
It is.
It is, because I did the first round attempt to interview you. And it's so tricky because I know you so well and we've been talking with each other for years. And I think I just got a bit excited and went a bit too fast. So I'm going to slow down and introduce you to whoever's watching and listening. Louise, can you give us a bit of personal flair on the intro I just read out?
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I help people get stuff done. So you and I have talked about this. The short answer when someone asks me what I do is I am a productivity mentor. But I try not to say that if I can help it, because I think it makes people jump to all the wrong conclusions, because people hear that and think, oh, this person's going to tell me how to manage my time or something. And in fact, I remember, at the conference you and I first met at back in 2018 or something, the person I was sitting next to on the table, I told her what I did. And I can't remember what question she asked me. She just said something really random, like, so how can I be more productive then? And I was like, rabbit in headlights. At that point, I didn't have the confidence I had now. And because I couldn't answer her question, I thought, well, I must be rubbish then, mustn't I? So I think people have this idea around what it means to be a productivity mentor. And that's not really it. That's not really what I do, not in that way anyway. I do help people get stuff done, but not in a way of teaching them how to be productive, if that makes any sense.
Yes. And we've had many a discussion about how you're a bit weird. It's what you do is weird, not you necessarily as a human, because you don't fit neatly into a box. You don't fit neatly into the mentor box or the coach box or the consultant box. It is different to that. So if you could go back and say to that person or answer that person again, if she was, how can I be more productive? What would you say now then? You've had several years to think about it. Come on.
I should have an answer, shouldn't I? Well, what I have discovered over that time is it's about slowing down and giving yourself some space. I think a lot of the reason people are not as productive as they want to be is because they've got their heads down, going like the clappers, feeling like they just need to work harder, work faster, or they're looking for all the solutions in the wrong place by going around and asking some random person they've just met, how can I be more productive? Or by looking at what everyone else is doing and reading the books and downloading the free things that are making them promises and filling in the spreadsheets and buying the planners. And those are not the things that are going to help. In fact, I was chatting to somebody the other day and I said a sentence I've never said before. And I thought, oh, I like that. I'm going to write that down. I said something along the lines of, like, true productivity is about space, not systems. Ooh, I know. And it's about people are not giving themselves the space to think about what they're trying to achieve, the steps they need to take to get them there, what's actually important and what isn't. And without that foundation in place, it's going to be very hard to be productive.
Yeah.
Or you could feel like you're being productive, but doing all the wrong things,
And I think fundamentally, knowing you, knowing me, when we say productivity, most people are your definition of productivity is different from what they're thinking. So actually, how can I be more productive probably isn't a good question to ask, because that's not really what people want. They don't just want to be, if you ask people, the majority of people want to be more productive, but really when it drills down to it, they want more of the good things in their life, don't they? It's not, they don't want to be some weird productivity machine working 24/7. They don't want to be a robot. So I think it's perhaps, if you were being blunt to that person, you could say, well, actually, that's the wrong question.
I could, yeah. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, I think most people would think productivity is cramming more into less time.
Yeah.
That's what I always say when I'm doing guest expert sessions and talks and things. I will always start with that. I'm like, most people think it's about cramming more doing into less time, but where's the joy in that? And what are you doing that for? Are you doing that so you can do more doing? Or like you've said, is it about creating the space that you want and need for the other things in your life and making sure the time you are spending in your business, you're spending as wisely and efficiently as you can so that you can create that space for all of the other good stuff that is what we actually want.
Yeah. So it strikes me, and it's very obvious, that you've got some. I am completely on board with your way of talking about productivity, the way you do productivity, but and you've got this really clear process to help people, and a way of holding space for people to get clear on what they need to do next, etc. How did you get to be so wonderful, Louise? How did you get to do what you're doing? Give us a little potted history of Louise.
Of Louise, since I started trying to figure out what my business was going to be, or going way back?
Start from birth, if it helps, if it was influential.
Let's not do that. We'll be here all day. But yeah, before I started my own business, I'd never really known what I wanted to do when I grew up. I tried all sorts of. Did I try all sorts of things? I had it in my head I needed to be a creative person because back when I was at school, I was very artistic. I played lots of music. All of that kind of stuff was what I really loved doing. So when I graduated, in the back of my head, I was like, I should be doing something along those lines. So I was kind of doing admin work to pay the bills whilst also I tried painting for a while to see if I could. I worked part-time to see if I could make money painting and all that kind of stuff, and I couldn't, and it didn't work. And I remember I went for a god-awful job interview in London for a contemporary theatre company. It was still an admin role. I don't know anything about contemporary theatre, so I was in this kind of space of I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just bouncing around doing admin roles, getting promoted, being really good at what I did, ending up in a role I didn't really want because it involved managing people, and then running away. So fast forward to that kind of cycle repeating often enough and me ending up in positions that I wasn't really comfortable with. It made me really ill. I got work-related stress and anxiety, which actually was the best thing that could have happened in a way because my GP signed me off sick. My husband signed me up for a course to help me start exploring what else I could be doing. So I just didn't have the bandwidth to make that decision. I kept looking at it and going, oh, I don't know. And then I got into work one morning and Tom had messaged me and said, I've just booked it for you. I was like, oh, okay. Again, best thing could have happened. And from there, I started to think, right, what actually do I have to offer if I want to start out on my own and do my own thing? And that led to a bit of an existential crisis because I was envying all the other people on that course, most of whom were really creative people who wanted to create some kind of, creative. How many times can I say the word create in one sentence? They wanted to create the most creative business, that they could because they felt that was their calling and what was missing from what they were doing. So I was thinking I should be like that. And I can just remember sitting with them over a gin and tonic in London in a bar and them just looking at me going, well, we wish we could be more like you. Because everything I was talking about was about helping people get organized and cut through the chaos and, be efficient and actually get the stuff done. And that kind of was like a light bulb moment for me where I went, oh, actually there is value in all this stuff that I've been doing by naturally, because it does come naturally to me, all of that. And that's what I've been doing in my jobs. That's how I'd been promoted because I was really good at getting stuff done and staying organized and organizing systems and all that kind of stuff. So from there, the first step I took into self-employment was, well, actually, here's a fun thing you might not know. My first self-employment paycheck came from me rewriting product descriptions for a natural kind of skincare brand in Australia. Because I know, I was looking on their website and saw a really bad product description that felt like it had been translated by Google Translate or something really badly. So I just messaged them going, you might want to look at this because this doesn't make any sense. And literally they replied and asked me if I wanted to do some work for them. I had no experience of doing anything like that. And I just kind of went, all right then. Random. Anyway, so I did that for a bit, which was kind of fun. But the first thing I started doing properly was being a VA. So I stepped into the world of a VA and knew that wasn't really the long-term plan. but it gave me a real gift of being behind the scenes in a lot of people's businesses. And I could see what was going on, what was going wrong, the struggles that those people were having with getting stuff done. And from there, I was like, right, I am going to teach people productivity. So what we were saying right at the beginning that I don't do, I thought, right, I'm going to do that. So I kind of set up this 12-week mentoring program, which was very rigid and very structured around different elements of being productive. And I literally did that with one client and went, nope, that is not it either. Don't like it, don't want to do it like that. And what I realized through all of that and through working with my VA clients and the conversations I was having with people was that where I would be most valuable to people is actually being in the trenches, sort of on the journey with them. I know it sounds a bit on the journey, but kind of holding their hands as they're trying to do what they're trying to do, rather than this theoretical thing that, you know, we learn to do something new and then fall back into our old patterns the minute we get a bit tired or the novelty wears off. And I didn't want to do that. So yeah, and then the process that you were talking about, like the Make It Happen Club process, to be honest, I just sat down with a big sheet of paper and went, right, if you're going to make a plan that actually works, what are the pieces that need to be in place and what order do those things need to happen in? And I just followed what I kind of felt intuitively from my own experience, how I do things, how I've been working with people. And that process has kind of remained unchanged for the last almost 5 years now. I've tweaked the way that I deliver some of it, but, you know, the start to finish, here's how you create a plan you're actually going to stick to and that you're going to be excited to follow through with, that can be flexible and shift with you. Yeah, that kind of all came from all of that experience of chatting with people, my way of doing things and all the rest of it. And it's kind of remained unchanged ever since. That was a very long way of answering your question, Janine.
It's beautiful. So many words, but in the right order. There's two things that pop out at me as you're talking. One of them is the benefit of trial, or not the benefit, but the necessity of trial and error.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people you see online, and it feels like they came out of the womb as a marketing expert, or, you know, whatever expert they are in, whatever field they're in. And nobody is born an expert. Nobody is perfect, but so many people present themselves as perfect. So I think it's really lovely to hear your journey and say, you know, I thought it was this, and then I tried this, and that was wrong, and then I tried this, and that was wrong. And I think that's just very, very reassuring to everyone, I'm sure. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about or talk about is this sense that I feel like we all, maybe we don't, listeners, you know, is this you as well? But I feel like I went through that phase of trying to pigeonhole myself. So you said, you know, I was good at creative stuff. I was creative. I was doing creative stuff. So I thought, you know, oh, that's me. And it's almost like we're trying to find our place in the world, aren't we? We're trying to, you know, so many people asking you, what are you going to do when you grow up? What are you going to do when you grow up? What, you know, what are you doing for your next qualification? What are you going to do for your job? What are you going to do? Are you going to stay in the job? Are you going to do this? Let's just, you know, calm down, everyone. Just figuring it out. We're trying it out. Doesn't mean that we have to be this person forever or this job forever.
No, absolutely. And I was so stressed out for such a long time because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And, you know, I went off to uni and did the thing I love to do. So I did reading and colouring in at uni. I did English and art because I love doing it, but that's not got a natural next step. And I kind of buried my head in the sand for a long time thinking, I don't want to think about it. I don't know what I want to do. I'm just not going to think about it. And then graduation came and then I was like, oh no, now what am I going to do? But I buried my head in the sand for a bit longer by me and my friends went traveling for a while. So, and one of them had taken a year out. So I had a year of faffing about and then off we all went traveling. So I was kind of avoiding that whole, what am I going to do question for ages. And then I, like I said, bounced around all over the place. But I just think that it is trial and error and we're all figuring it out as we go and seeing what works and what doesn't, and feeling like we have to have this fully fledged sense of what we're going to do when we're 18 is completely ridiculous and unrealistic. I mean, we change so much anyway when we're grown-ups, don't we? And yeah, the pressure of all of that. And then when I actually started going into the I'm going to start my own thing world, the word there that really stressed me out, that whole stress of what am I going to do, became replaced by this, you must find your purpose with the big fat capital P. And
Yes. It's funny, isn't it? All of a sudden you've got to be altruistic and not doing it for the money, and you've got to be finding your, why, what is the meaning of life?
Yeah, and some people have that, and that's great. But for a lot of us, we don't. And I spent ages thinking I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm doing it wrong because this does not feel like what I was put on this earth to do, and a big capital P purpose. And that could have got me stuck for a very long time. And I chose not to let it. I just kind of went, no, this is the thing I know I'm good at, that feels easy to me, that other people value, that is fun for me. I'm just going to lean into that, whether or not it's the thing that I was created to do,
Yeah. I shall now proceed to shoehorn that into the theme of the podcast, which is it's called The Show Off, because I was told not to show off as a child. And then as I grew up, I was like, do you know what? I do like showing off. I do like being the centre of attention from time to time, not all the time, but sometimes. And that was a big, long journey. So we've heard part of your big, long journey to knowing what you want to do and how you're doing it and who you're doing it for and all that. But I know from previous conversations that actually you weren't told not to show off, because you weren't ever a show off, and you're not a huge limelight hogger like what I am. And in actual fact, you were told to not to show off more. What was the message you got as a child?
Oh, from school, it was always must speak up, in that whole sitting too quietly in class needs to speak out, because then everyone could see that I was smart, but because I wasn't verbally contributing to the conversation, that was the thing that was constantly said to me and my parents when I was growing up.
Yeah. So you didn't get a message from your parents then? They were happy that you were quiet and introspective, thoughtful.
That's interesting. I think there were elements probably of them wanting me to step up a little bit more. An example, this makes me when I even think about it, because I played the clarinet when I was growing up, and I got to kind of grade 8 level, so I was good at it. But mum and dad, whenever someone came, like particularly my godmother, who used to come to visit, she lived down south, and they used to come up. They would want me to get the clarinet out and play everyone a tune, and I would be like, absolutely not. I can't think of anything worse. And I think that used to cause a bit of. They used to be like, oh, go on, just a little one. Oh, go on, and I must have done it a few times, but I would want the ground to open up and swallow me whole.
Oh my God, we're exactly the opposite. I would play guitar very badly in primary school, and anybody who came round, I'd be on the guitar, and they'd have to tell me to stop and let my sister have a go, which is bemused me, because my sister does not know how to play guitar, never had any lessons. So I was like, why is she having a go? That makes no sense. But they wanted to share the limelight. I was like, I'm not sure. What's going on? So I would have gone round, you could have drafted me in, and I'd have done a little guitar show instead. It would have been very bad.
That would have been perfect.
Who's this random girl? Yes. Oh, I can picture it. I can picture it now, Louise. Oh, you poor little sausage. So did that feeling of being obligated to speak up more, to speak out more, did you kind of always have this feeling of, that's not me? Or did you feel a pressure to be different?
I felt like there was something wrong because I wasn't doing that, and everyone was making that into such a big deal. I thought, well, and I probably was thinking, well, there's something wrong with me and I should be able to do that. And thinking about it now, probably also attached that to, well, I'm not ever really going to make very much of myself then, am I? If you need to be able to do that in order to be perceived as succeeding, or for people to, I don't know, appreciate what you're doing. I probably did play it small. And I think, last time, in the first attempt at having this conversation, I think I mentioned about I did not want to stand out. I'd had the experience quite young of being laughed at, and I did not want that to happen again. I hated it, and I just wanted to be blending into the furniture. So I put a lot of effort in growing up to not stand out, which I think also made me lose myself along the way a little bit, because I was just picking up all the signals and the things people were saying and going, right, mustn't do that. I can't do that. I need to do this in order to not be drawing attention to myself. And I think that did all carry itself through for a long time. When talking about when I was at uni and thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do, any kind of job that I thought would involve competition. So if I thought it was going to be a difficult field to get into, and I would have to really push myself forward in order to make myself stand out so that I have any chance whatsoever of getting the job, I just dismissed it and went, well, that's not for me. So I definitely limited myself as a result. And I think, who knows what would have happened if I hadn't have had that. But then I also am a very firm believer, and I know it's a bit trite, but I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if that had all panned out differently. And I love what I'm doing and I love my life right now. So, it's all worked out right in the end.
Yeah, suck on that, teachers. So yeah, I suppose you've covered a lot of this already, but my next question is, you appear to me like you know who you are and you're doing it on purpose. Bless Dolly. It's Dolly Parton quote. How true is that? Do you feel like you are now like, yes, I know who I am? I mean, that's how you come across, like you're happy to be a quiet, thoughtful person when you found your way to be visible. There's certain things that you're just not interested in doing, and there's certain things that you think, oh, that could be a bit scary, exciting, and you are willing to do that. Are you a complete human and you're in alignment with your being? Like, how true is that?
Yep, I am completely sorted. No further growth necessary at the end. Thank you very much. No, I do feel like that now, but that took a long time. I was in my 40s before I would say I started to feel that way. And, even starting the business when I wanted to be a VA, I was Googling VAs and going, oh my God, I can't, no, thank you. Because all the websites I was finding was people in suits being very corporate. And I was just like, no. So I think right from the minute of starting the business, I knew I was coming at it from the point of view of how can I make this fit me? And I think that was quite lucky for me. My way in was very much around delving into my own personality and my preferences and my tendencies and all of that. So I've built everything on that foundation. And I think that's what's allowed me to get to where I am now, and it took a while still for all of that to bed in. But yeah, I think now, I was reflecting on this recently. There's very little that I do in my business, but also in the wider scheme of things, that I don't enjoy doing and that not feels uncomfortable. We have to step out of our comfort zone, but I just love everything I'm doing and it feels good and nothing feels impossible. Sometimes I don't want to do it and it's uncomfortable, but I know I can do it. That's kind of a nice place to be, but it took some time to get here.
Yeah. Do you feel like it was a complete iterative process, or are there any highlights that you think, that was a turning point? Were there any like turning point moments?
Yeah, I think there were lots of small kind of turning point moments. I don't think there was any massive kind of lightning strike, but an example of that would be with Make It Happen Club, which has been going for 5 years now. I can remember back in maybe 4 years ago, I was chatting to a very well-meaning business coach about it, and her perspective on it was, well, if you want people to join and you want them to stay, you need to give them more and you need to give them a reason to stay. And her kind of idea was around putting more content in, throwing more at it. And to be honest, when it started, I did have guest expert sessions and stuff in, very quickly realised that wasn't for me. But this very well-meaning person was saying all of this stuff. And I respect and admire her a lot. She's got a hugely successful business. But I was like, no, that you're not understanding what this is all about, which is my fault for not. At that time, I probably didn't understand it well enough to articulate it either. But I kind of knew in my gut that wasn't the right way to go. Partly because it's not in my energy to deliver it that way, but also because that's not in service of the people who are in the space. They don't need more to be doing. They just need the quiet space to actually get stuff done. So I think it's just those sort of small moments of being challenged on something and then going, no, actually, I'm going to trust myself on this one. And I wouldn't have done that 8 years ago when I was first starting out. I would have just accepted what people were telling me. But then you learn from that as well, don't you? So, yeah.
Yeah, I can think of several examples in my own business, and it is, yeah, you can't rush it, can you? I mean, I've had a ton of coaching, and it's really, really, really helped me. And I know you've had a variety of sort of support that could be described as coaching as well, some of it. But that's the almost like a make or break moment, like a mini make or break moment when somebody says, "Oh, you should be doing this," and you're like, "No,
Yeah.
no, you obviously haven't got what, I haven't explained it properly, or you haven't understood, or you're not listening." And one of the ones that I know that I've shared with you in the past is I was working with a business coach who was absolutely sure that time blocking was the answer to everybody's woes. You must block your whole calendar out. Every minute of every day should be accounted for, and you must stick to it. I felt like I was in a straitjacket, and I just wanted to scream. And I feel like I want to say that I tried it. But it didn't last long, let's put it that way. And the moment I deleted all of those horrible appointments in my diary, I felt so amazing. I felt such a sense of relief and freedom. But that's sort of a case in point of what you don't do. You don't say, this will definitely work for you. It's have space, work out what will work for you, and proceed from there. And let's go on.
No, you go. Yep. Finish your thought.
State for the record that I am a very happy Make It Happen Club member. And I've been a member for nearly all of those 4 years. Just about.
Maybe 2 or 3. 2 or 3, I think. Yeah.
Oh, surely it's longer than that. Surely. And you've actually got a couple of little resources to share. One of which is the absolutely awesome Unfrazzle podcast, which is so Louise flavored. It's just beautiful. It's so short. There's no excuse not to listen to it, because even if you're wanting a bit of productive procrastination in your day, it's only like 5 minutes. It's only 4 minutes to 6 minutes long, and your beautiful, calm voice. And then after listening to it, you're just like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to get going on my next job now. So if people want to listen to Louise's Unfrazzle podcast, that's louisemiller.uk/podcast. And also you've got a little resource to share, the Holy Grail of productivity. Tell me about that.
So that was designed kind of in response. I suppose actually that would be the answer to the person who asked me, how do I be more productive all those years ago? It's a way of exploring what does and doesn't work for you as an individual human. So starting from there, thinking about, what's worked for me in the past, what suits me, what doesn't. And it kind of walks you through a process to help you figure some of that stuff out, so that when you are then out in the world if you are looking for a system that's going to support you, you can kind of have your blinkers on a little bit and know, okay, well, I know that thing's not for me, and I know this thing is. And it's one of my little things that I say over and over again is that self-awareness is your productivity superpower. And this is a way of helping you build that self-awareness so that you can be more productive, rather than looking for the answer out there somewhere. So yeah, that's a good little resource, and it won't take very long to do. It's not a long drawn out thing, but it will be really helpful.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lesson for life, isn't it? The answer isn't out there. It's usually part of the answer is within, and how you're reacting to things. And that is at louisemiller.uk/Holy Grail. And in the show notes, I may also share a link to your new quiz that you've been working on.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, and that is ready now. It's louisemiller.uk/quiz. And that is, it's about uncovering the real reason that you're not getting stuff done. And again, I think a few people have taken it now, and the average time to complete it is about 2 minutes. So it's not going to take long, but it will tell you the area you need to be working on, areas you need to be working on in order to be more productive, but in the way we talked about earlier. So it's not about just getting your head down and doing, but actually getting the right things done at the right time, so you can create the space you want for everything else in your life.
Gorgeous. Yes, I have completed the quiz, and I can say it's very useful. Very useful. 2 minutes of your life, so do check that out. Louise Miller, thank you so much for your time. It's been a wonderful experience as always when I'm talking to you. Can talk all day. And thank you for coming on the Show Off.
Thanks, Janine. It's been fun. Thank you for having me.
You have witnessed the Show Off with Janine Coombs. If you liked it, hit that subscribe button and share with your friends. For more episodes, go to janinecoombs.co.uk/showoff.